Hello, everyone, and welcome to round 10. In Austria, one of the quickest laps on the calendar, I think the quickest lap on the calendar, not when it's pouring rain. So let's see if the rain is just going to be for qualifying or if it will be for the entire race. Only one way to find out, and that is to get underway and get moving. So, we only have 14 drivers. I told the Tier 1 grid I'm going to have to crank up the recruiting here to get us to the end of the season. Missing a couple mainstays, but I think we had 17 last week, so I think we're peaking out at 17. So if we can get a couple more reserve drivers in, we might see some unfamiliar names in the next couple weeks as we see the AI is setting full wet. As you can tell, the rain is coming down. It's raining, it's pouring. Faint fawn again. Reading all your names, everyone should be familiar if you've tuned into a race or two, maybe except MJW. But Faint Fawn is Fawn, Lucid Cardiac is Lucid, Vivoda is Vivoda, Cloud City is Cloud, MK7 Hitch is Hitch, Anime Boy is Anime, Mini Squatch is Squatch, MJW28 is MJW, a reserve. The Yuppie is Yuppie, Matt Man is Matt, Fate is Fate, the Seven Sevens is Seven. That's quite the tongue twister. Dismal Games is Dismal, and Kryptonic Swag is Kryptonic. I feel like he's always last for some reason. This isn't like alphabetical or anything, but that's always the one that I end off on. Matt, out on track first. It just feels like such a peaceful session. Like if you just listen closely, you can hear the birds chirping in the back. Like it feels like we're running at like 8 in the morning. It's so peaceful, the birds are chirping, and all of a sudden we have an F1 race. But here goes Matt Man. We will kill the ambiance here and right on board. Full wet qualifying lap here, and we will pull up the detail on what tires everyone's on. That's going to be important in the wet session, not usually for the dry session. Got a couple drivers testing the intermediates, but only one out on track. Looks like Matt is struggling a bit on these wet tires, so not sure if the inters are going to necessarily be the right call, but they are faster in most case scenarios. They just have more pace. It's just about if you can control the car, and Matt is sliding down through Sector 2. And this has to feel dangerous coming around here, losing the rear a little bit. And trying to hit the apex, not quite getting there. And he's going to be the first to finish a lap, and it looks pretty treacherous out there as, again, the rear end is just, feels like it's right about to step out. Holds it through into the line in a 1:18.2. Let's hop on board with the Yuppie, who is just starting a lap. Okay, and Cloud starting behind him, so I think Squatch is the next driver. We have caution Sector 1, just looks like a driver going slow. Squatch being careful through this middle sector, into the third sector he goes. And yeah, gotta be careful with these corners, even in the dry too, and you can see the car stepping out on him as well. He also is on the full wet tires. And he's looking to get himself himself on provisional pole. Might be a little bit behind Matt, as we'll see his time, a 120.0, so 2 seconds behind. We'll see Anime come across the line. He goes third with a 22.0. So 2 seconds the gap from every person. Now we're on board with Cloud, who does have purple sector 2. Getting to the apex a little bit better than the drivers we've seen before. And he is going to take provisional pole here with a 16.3. Yuppie with an 18.7. Vivoda looks to have just saved the car. MJW, the rookie here today, or not the rookie, the reserve here today. As Lucid goes fastest on the inters, so maybe proving that the inters have a little bit more pace, but again, it's how much do you want to risk it. We've seen this kind of play out a couple of last qualifyings. The Japan sprint was also a wet qualifying, and if I'm not mistaken, the final 7 laps all were provisional pole. Squatch does improve to an 18.0. MJW, the car stepping out on him quite a bit, but is going to go a 19 as Dismal goes a 17.5. Kryptonic quickly outdoes that with a 17.2. 7 also a 22.009, beating his teammate by 2 thousandths. I think Yuppie improved to the 17.4 as Vivoda steps out on him and hits as well, a 16.5. Up there on the intermediates. Vivoda still on the full wets. I think everyone's just trying to drive a couple laps, get their tires a little bit warm. And Vivoda goes a 19.7 before they can start really putting in some times. Fade on the intermediate tires. We'll see how he does. His second race for Alpine. First race did not necessarily go how he wanted it to. I think got a couple points in the sprint, but ended up being a DNF in the feature race. So see how he does today. Now the enters the top 3 is Lucid, Cloud, and Hitch. Not necessarily an unfamiliar top 3, but also proving that the intermediates have quite the pace advantage right now, and the wet runners boxing probably going to try a lap on the inters. His fate goes wide, keeps it valid though. And it goes a 16.6, which is good enough for 5th. Now everyone but Fawn has a lap as he's starting his out lap here. Anime looks to be down on his time after Sector 1. But we'll see after Sector 2 if he's able to hold that improvement. As Lucid improves his time by about 8 tenths, going a 15.3. First driver to cross the 16 threshold. And yes, Anime is improving rapidly. Still probably only going to be to get in front of his teammate, but we'll see how he can do in Sector 3 now. Austria, a very fast circuit, so definitely a very different driving style in the rain, and he beats more than just his teammate, ahead of Vivoda, ahead of MJW, but every driver in front now on the inters, and Anime goes off the track, hits the wall a little bit, maybe trying to get out of the way here. So everyone will probably want to be getting some laps in, get those intermediates warm, and honestly, in the wet, your second or third lap is probably going to be the best on the tires, especially when if the track is starting to dry. We do have a caution. Cloud Maybe, maybe not. Goes a purple Sector 1, but Sector 1 is the smaller of the sectors. A couple other improvements. Hitch is in P2 with a 15.7. Fate in P3 with a 15.9. The Alpine pair now looking good as Fate doing the best to aid his teammate in the Drivers' Championship as well as the Constructors. Alpine and Hitch still leading both of those. And I don't think Can-Am has had a Drivers' Champion that's came from the Constructors' Champion. I don't think they've had a driver win both in probably a couple seasons, so you would think it would be way more common than the other way around. Cloud goes fastest by a full second, and yeah, maybe indicating the track evolution here is coming down. Now on an invalid lap, but should just be a cool down lap here. Yuppie going through Sector 2 behind his teammate here. So now everyone does have a time. Fawn goes to 17.2 on the wet tires, but he'll want to try to get an intermediate lap later in this session. Didn't see Yuppie split here, but looks like he's still on a fast lap. Everyone probably will be dropping time towards the end of the session. Voda looks to get squirrely in front of him. Let's see if he's just starting his lap. And Yuppie does drop time into 5th, but quickly 6th after Kryptonic. Goes P2, still a half second to go. And I wonder if Yuppie's going to be able to fire it up and just go for back-to-back laps here. It's a 10th up, but he's in that dirty air of his teammate. Dismal drops some time. Not enough for a lot of places. I think only goes up 1 or 2 spots. The back half of the grid still on the wet tires. The Williams and MJW still on the wets. Fawn should probably switch in the pits. We'll see, as Anime is on an invalid lap and 7 is right behind him. Vivoda goes through. In Sector 3, his teammate declares that he's going to pit and invalidate. So Vivoda just going to get out of the way, go on a cooldown lap, and hopefully start another one up. As Cloud improves once again a 13.4, but again, 1.4 seconds. You think, oh, that's pole by a mile, but all the times are going to start coming down, and it's just going to be who can get the last lap, or who can maybe get a warm-up lap done and start their last lap. Still the latest, so we will see what happens in the last 4.5 minutes of this session. Every driver into the pits pretty much right now. Vivoda on a cooldown lap. It looks like Cloud is also on a cooldown lap. MJW has a fan in chat. Fate and Matt look to be on laps. Matt invalidated his lap, but will likely be able to just go again. The wet weather tires do not wear nearly as much as the dries. And it looks like the rain has stopped on my screen. Well, still coming down a little bit, but definitely has lightened up. And that might mean that we're getting a dry race. But we'll see. It's Fate coming through Sector 3 and probably going to be a pretty decent improvement just because of the track evolution is going to be crazy, and we're going to see times start flying down. As Fate sprints to the line, looks like it's going to be a 14.3, which is good enough for P2. But no time is safe at the end of this session. We saw it in the Japanese sprint qualifying, and now we're going to see it again in Austria. The last lap will have the advantage for sure, and everyone fitting the intermediate tires and are ready to go and try to time this to the best of their ability. We'll see if anyone unusual takes a provisional pole, as Yuppie has now fit the full wet, and now there it goes back to the inters. And not sure who just jumped up. I think it may have been Lucid. Hitch going P2, still 3/10 from Cloud. His teammate behind is improving, but it's not by a lot. To the line he goes, and he does drop almost 6/10, and now Lucid. So it must not have been him. He goes P2, and I just heard a crunch. Not sure what happened. Squatch starting his, well, no, starting sector 2, I should say. He's going to want to improve since his lap time right now is from the full wets. So a lot of these drivers towards the back, I'm pretty sure, basically from 10th on, all those laps are full wet. Dismal also out on a fresh set of inters, as well as Yuppie. Minute 20 to go. It takes about a minute and 10 seconds to get around the track. And so everyone should be starting their final lap here as Squatch dashes to the line. P7 for him. MJW was the car behind. Looks like a Ferrari is coming in front of him. We'll see if it's Yuppie starting his lap. And it is. MJW to the line. He does improve, but doesn't move anywhere. And Fawn's still on the full wets. We'll see if he can improve. But everyone on the inters except Fawn in P11 on the full wets, and we'll see where he ends up. He's trying the alternate strategy here in qualifying as Fate retires early, probably thinking, well, yeah, he can't get out for another lap if he's in the pits, so he's content with 4th as of now. Anime improves to jump Fawn. We'll see if Fawn can improve. Vivoda up to P6. Kryptonic through Sector 2 as Hitch goes pole, but that's the first finished lap, a 13.0. Squatch going P5, a 13.9. But you can assume that a lot of people are going to be jumping, and Hitch, for all the time he's spent this season finishing the final lap, does a lap a little too early, maybe just mistimed it, was trying to get a last second one more lap, but is going to be fine with the provisional pole. His championship rival, Lucid, goes P2. To the line, and Kryptonic takes provisional pole. We'll see if Cloud can respond. He's invalidated his lap. Matt looking to have messed his up somewhere, and Vivoda as well, way up on their times. Anime as well, and 7 is invalid as well. So I think this order is going to do it. Fate retiring early, only dropping 2 spots. Dismal able to climb up next to his teammate. He's pretty much been all season. Lucid, Hitch, and Kryptonic, your top 3 out of qualifying. Squatch in P7. Matt in 8th, the Ferrari pair 9th and 10th. Fawn does improve on the full wets, but nothing marginal there as he's still down in 11th. The Williams pair in 12th and 14th split by MJW. The reserve for Racing Bulls. And that is going to be your session here. Another thrilling qualifying session as the rain changes the atmosphere a ton and just changes the vibe of qualifying for sure. And it just makes those last couple laps critical, and you've got to be able to finish it. And especially in Austria, you've got to be able to finish a valid lap. And we saw, I mean, Seven was down 4 seconds, and it may not have made a difference as he still would have been 14th, but would have been nice to have that improvement here. As everyone, there's your exceeded track limits, and we're probably going to see quite a bit of penalties today, as Austria is one of the tracks where it is pretty easy to rack up the track limit warnings. Hopefully not as bad as what Monza was, where the track limits are literally razor thin, but looks like we do have a dry session here, so I'm waiting for the dry qualifying session one day and the wet race, but it appears that that's never going to happen, and it's only allowed to rain in qualifying. And we will likely see all the drivers be going for a one stop if I had to guess. Maybe the two stop is viable, but we've seen one stops pretty much all season. And I don't know if just the track will be able to change that. Not sure what F1 can do to make a two-stop viable, but I assume the line is very thin. So, if you can hear my cat meowing. So we should be underway here pretty shortly. Giving the drivers the thumbs up to ready. And we should be underway shortly. This track full of DRS zones, full of fast corners, and sometimes makes it a little difficult to overtake. But the DRS straights, pretty much every DRS straight is a pretty decent chance to overtake. Hard to make a move into turn one, but out of turn one, you want to prioritize a good exit, and that's where you're going to see probably a majority of the moves. And lap one, certainly there can be more moves from the what would be the third DRS straight of the lap, essentially. That downhill right-hander, easy to lock up, so driver's going to have to be careful, maybe not be too aggressive there, but we've seen the top two, Hitch and Kryptonic, sometimes get a little intense in their battles, so could see some battling there. And in Tier 1 this season, we've always seen good battling for the final point spot usually, but last week only a couple drivers were battling in the midfield, so hoping to see some more battles throughout the field this week, but you never know. as we see everyone starting on the medium tires. In Anime, the only driver electing for the hards to begin. So maybe opening up the door for a two-stop strategy here. But a no nonsense for everyone on the medium tires. And a safety car will impact everyone else's race just as much. And all the drivers, since from that wet qualifying, should have all their dry tire compounds available, as Yuppie is disqualified from the session. Not sure what happened. But they should have all their tire compounds available, which should be nice. Especially if the harder compound, whatever preset was selected. 2 hard tires if you want to two-stop or if you need to two-stop. I'm not sure what the wear is like here, but it's definitely possible. Throw the positions changed up. We will see how the drivers get away as they start forming to the grid. Everyone relatively close in line. As you can see, Lucid came flying into his pit box. And there is everyone forming up as 7 gets ready. And now we start the countdown and the run into turn 1. As here we go, as we are underway in round 10, and there's the helicopter shot as Hitch looks to be getting mauled around the outside, has already lost 2 positions. Lucid and Cloud making up a couple positions here, and now into another straight squatch down one. Matt getting the best of him. And Matt sending one all the way back and getting alongside, but not having the exit speed to keep that position on fade. Now is under attack. Squatch going around the outside here. And the Ferrari of Yuppie down the inside. And he makes it stick. So Matt losing 2 spots after a little bit of an ambitious move. The top drivers still remain the same, except Hitch down off of that start. And Fawn up 1 spot, Vivoda down 2, Anime down 2, but everyone's still in the DRS here. This Lucid trying to hang on to Kryptonic's DRS. DRS very vital around this track, but it is also very easy to keep in the DRS because there's so many DRS zones. So Austria will be the track next season that seriously is going to see one of the biggest shifts in just how the racing goes, because the DRS is going away at the end of this season. So it will be interesting to see how that impacts certain tracks and whether it makes certain tracks more fun, maybe less fun, however you want to view it, but it should make the racing ultimately better. I think that's been the current objective of the F1 board, but their most popular objective for themselves is just to make as much money as possible. So we're going to have a full street track calendar in 2030. Everyone maintaining position here. Yuppie up 2 spots and looking to keep on gaining as sets his sights on now Squatch, and we do have a yellow to the back of the grid, and Anime and Vivoda back here. Looks like maybe a little bit of contact, and now they are out of the DRS as Fawn gets by. Now he's going to have to work about 2.5 seconds here as Cloud and Hitch battling, and you can see side by side, downhill right-hander Hitch maybe locking up a little bit. Still side by side with Cloud here, and we get the worst director's camera. Again, another terrible director's camera here. Still side by side through Sector 2, now starting Sector 3, and Cloud giving up the position for now and can't really do much else. Both down on ERS quite a bit. It feels like Cloud's setup is a little more stiff than Hitch, who seems to be just flying around out there with oversteer as Squatch gives up a position to Yuppie into turn 1. Fawn sets the fastest lap, so he's eager to get up there. Has already shaved the gap in half from him to Squatch, who has dwindled down, and Yuppie is up 3 spots now. Dismal and Fate have flipped positions too. And now you see 7 and MJW maybe having a little bit of battle, and MJW off the track. Rejoins alongside, and doesn't look like he's going to be going for a move here, as he is still in a Williams sandwich and Vivoda behind all of them. Yuppie still in DRS. Cloud the only one possibly without DRS, so that may hinder his race, and we may see a huge stack of cars start to form up behind him, and he might be under attack pretty soon here. As the top 3 are bunching up after the first DRS straight. And now Fate right behind Cloud. Probably going to be content to stay behind for this lap. As I say that, looking down the inside, tries a late move here. And maybe a little bit of contact with Dismal, but Cloud holds the position, and Dismal down a couple spots, and Squatch not really attacking him. So Dismal only down an extra spot, but again, Yuppie, he's been on the move this race, and he is 6/10 behind Fate, and now that gap that Cloud is out of DRS has just almost doubled from this lap. So the top 3 racing each other very close, and Cloud might not be able to ever catch back up to these guys. So you can see quite the gap between all these drivers. You can see them off in the distance. Doesn't look like Lucid is going to get the best of an exit, but Hitch isn't going to be able to attack. We'll see if Fate goes for another move. Has plenty more speed this time. Goes the long way around, and Cloud is not going to fight it too hard. Yuppie not lunging either here. But we will see if there can be any moves made, and it doesn't look like Yuppie's going to get a Cloud right behind Fate. He can't go for a move. And Fate is going to jump up into P4 and now be the driver without DRS, leading this train. A couple different trains in this race. And Squatch hanging on to this train here. Train number 2. We've got the podium train, and then we've got 4th through 8th, the points train. Oh, and Dismal going sideways and just saying, all right, well, I guess that means I'm coming into the pits. So he's the first driver to get off those medium tires, and honestly, 6 lap olds, I think he's going to be going for a 2-stop strategy unless he is the ultimate tire whisperer and can get 30 laps on those hard tires. We will see if that is remotely possible. Top 3 holding position here. And Yuppie looks like he's locked up a bit there. Everyone's civil in the middle of the pack, and then the Williams team racing each other hard. Vivoda looking for a way through, and 7 defending alongside here, and another terrible director cut. They are battling, and someone just went off into the gravel. 7s is completely off the track. There's a caution in that sector, and Dismal will likely take the position. We'll see if 7s really battles it. No, he just slots in the back and drives off the track. And now Dismal is likely going to be gone. Fawn gets a place on Squatch, and Vivoda passes the other Williams driver to get back into point scoring position. Squatch and Fawn and Yuppie, these 3. Now each DRS train getting smaller. So it's the top 3 and then the next 3. As Fate picks up a 3-second time penalty, and that is not going to be good for his race. It's currently P5, and we see... Oh, we do not see a move. Kryptonic is the first to get in to the pits. An undercut possibly from the leader, Yuppie, as well. And everyone else continues on their way here. We'll see where Dismal comes out. He had the ultimate undercut here in Kryptonic, and it's definitely out in front of him. But Yuppie, it is going to be very close here. Dismal right behind, and now side by side. First on the brakes without that inside line, maybe looking for a switchback. Is not going to find it, and just slots behind. Yuppie was right there, maybe had the move, but just did not want to be that aggressive. And now into this bit of cluster here between Vivoda and Anime, and Vivoda opening the door for his teammate, but opening the door for Dismal, who rides up on the curb. But thankfully Vivoda wasn't fighting that too hard, so didn't coast into another car there. And now we are behind Anime as Matt is going into the pits. We'll see how these drivers handle Anime, as he probably not defending too much, but he does go inside, and now Dismal around the outside, but Anime just lets him go and then rams into the wall, and that's going to be a safety car. Yep, we got that one pretty clearly on video. Anime spinning out after giving up a couple positions and not fighting, and lost it through turn 1. Car went straight sideways and then couldn't really control it into the grass, and Kryptonic now thinking this undercut did not work out very well, as Lucid is sprinting to the pit limiter, and he does get the car slowed down. Now everyone into the pits, and Kryptonic, where is he going to come out? As he's trying to push the limit, but the Delta is only letting him go so quick. And yeah, he's got to slow way down, and now the driver is coming out towards the pit exit, and he wants to get a move on. He gets back up into the podium spots, but is he going to keep his position? Dashing through turn 1, and no, he's going to be down into 3rd. And everyone else is going to be able to catch up to him, and now he's going to be susceptible to attacks from the rest of these DRS trains as the grid forms up, and Dismal as well, hurting from that undercut strategy. Sorry, I had to sneeze. MJW and 7. The last driver's through, and it looks like 7 is repairing some damage. And he will still remain on the lead lap after last week. 14 people racing, Dave. It is actually 13. We just witnessed the DNF. If you want to go clip that, we got a pretty good angle of it on the back of Dismal's car. 12. Because we're not counting 7, is what Dave said. We would have had 15, but, you know, a certain Aston Martin driver decided to be an adult like the rest of us. And now has to quit all of his hobbies. But it's just a certain Aston Martin driver. Not to name names. Pull up the penalties. All the drivers with 3 seconds. At least all the drivers with penalties. Everyone has stopped at least one time. 7 has gotten in there too. It is a bad comment. At least someone's calling them out. There's no giveaway if you're confused. It's just gaslighting. Doesn't deserve this love. I would really like you to quote this love and really expand on that point. Because the car should be in this lap. Goat is flicking on LMU. Seven has caught the pack, and yeah, safety car is in, and look at how early it goes in. I mean, it said that it's in this lap, and we've got a whole sector to drive. Drivers are going to try and warm up their tires, and Kryptonic is going to try and nail this restart to get his lead back. The safety car is pulled into the pits, so at any time we will be ready to go. It's looking, he's ready to react here. Lucid holding him up a bit. And Lucid honestly going at a predictable time here, and everyone gets a good restart. And Dismal maybe looking to get a position, but no. Lucid with a very predictable restart there, and honestly did not catch anyone off guard, especially the drivers who were right next to him. Seeing that he was going through the last corner and then just gunned it after, so squatching Yuppie alongside, and Yuppie has been the most aggressive out of the bunch, and he's been able to make a ton of moves on track. Still have a caution in Sector 1, but it's just going to be here for a while. There's actually no driver in Sector 1, so that's great. Good thing to know. Must just be some trash on the track in Sector 1 or something. And Kryptonic not able to make the move. Lucid still out in front, keeping Hitch at bay. And the two championship rivals battling it out for second place right now. Cloud fading a little bit, but still right just over that second gap, and now is not going to have DRS, so this gap may open up. Just not ideal for him. He's going to be trying to burn some ERS to keep within DRS, but he does not get the rear wing open, and Hitch may be looking for a move, didn't find anything. Lucid holds him off once more. These top three have not flipped too many positions other than the first couple laps. And other than that, they've been in their DRS train and stayed in the normal position. It's like you're paying. How are you paying? Because of ads? Dave just said it's like he's paying to watch this. Oh. Fate still with a 3-second time penalty. That's pretty much going to drop him halfway down the grid. If the race does finish this close and in this order, and we have an overtake for the lead, Hitch and Lucid. Lucid getting the better exit and getting the DRS here. He's going to go alongside Kryptonic, not going to be opportunistic here. Hitch still staying along the inside. Lucid maybe looking for a switchback, nothing there, and Hitch is going to hold the position as he takes the lead. And now Kryptonic wants to get a move on and get ahead of Lucid as Cloud has worked his way back into the DRS. And Fawn all the way up to P5 from P11 starting with the wet tire qualifying lap, and not ideal for him, but definitely in a prime position for a good result for the Aston Martin, the lone Aston Martin driver. Got a couple lone teammates here, the Aston Martin, the Haas driver, the Mercedes driver, the Kick, and I think we might be missing an entire team. Red Bull. At Red Bull Ring, no Red Bull. Oh, the irony. Haven't seen too many overtaking attempts here. Still do have the DRS train. We'll stay on board with Fawn maybe for a little bit and see if there's any action going on in front of him or behind him. He's currently chasing Cloud for 4th place. And Fate right behind him, but both going to have DRS here. Pretty much everyone going to have DRS, and you can see the top three getting a little feisty, and Kryptonic around the outside. Both going to have the DRS, but again, he is going to be able to get the exit speed, and is it going to carry over for a possible move for the lead? No, and MJW gets a time penalty as we watch Kryptonic move up into P2. We saw that out of the corner of our eye watching from P5. And there's your top 7 drivers finishing up Sector 2. Now halfway through the race, everyone on the hard tires except 7. After the safety car caused by Anime, who DNF'd after losing control after the first corner. No. Fate with another time penalty. And that might just be his race. It's going to be tough to pull 6 seconds and might still be in a scoring position, but definitely not where he wants to be to the end of this race. And we'll see if he can start to pull a gap or what his plan is. Definitely wants to try to work his way through this DRS train and maybe see if he can start extending if he pulls out of the DRS. One DNF would be Sevens being 3 laps behind as Squatch drifting out into the pit lane. It now has to pull his car around the grass and pull out into P11, and it might even be P12. As now he goes down the inside and gets spun again. So maybe a bit of frustration for Squatch and takes himself out. Now running into P12. I don't think Vivoda is necessarily the terrorist there. So there goes one driver out of the DRS train. From 7th to 12th, Squatch goes. We'll see if he can climb up. The wing camera. He does use rear view, though. So we'll see if there's any moves made for the lead or what happens. But Yuppie not in the DRS, so not able to make more moves. Matt behind him. And then Dismal, Vivoda both have quite the gap. MJW in DRS, but we have a move for the lead while I've been sleeping. Kryptonic down the inside, but now is not going to have the exit speed and not going to have the DRS here. And Hitch alongside, going to take the place back, and Kryptonic not going to lunge down the inside. We have a caution in Sector 2. It's Matt, who we were going to see. He's spun it, and now trying to get back on track here, and Squatch may have someone that he thinks he can catch towards the end of this race now. Gap all of a sudden closing in from about 13 seconds to only 3 seconds, and Lucid, Cloud, and Fawn all close. Fate dropping off of this train a little bit, and Fawn might have an opportunity here. Looks like he got an extremely good exit. Can't make anything happen through turn 1. And doesn't look like he's going to get anything going here after turn 1. And we have another overtake for the lead as we flip positions, and now pushing Hitch a little bit wide all the way to the edge. And now with the DRS, Kryptonic side by side, now on the inside line this time around. Squeezes Hitch to the outside, Hitch squeezing back to the inside, giving each other enough racing room, and Kryptonic now takes the lead, and I can assume that this is going to be quite the battle for the race. These two drivers fighting tooth and nail to see who will be able to stand on the top step of the podium. Kryptonic, an excellent move, hanging on to the DRS there and getting the move done. And any penalties for these top drivers will drop them out basically to last out of this train. So got to be aware of that too. But we see Hitch moving up and might be back on the attack. Not the best exit here, so don't know if he's going to have enough speed as Dismal makes the pass on Yuppie, as Yuppie looks to be into the pit lane. And now Hitch trying to take a wider line to get a little bit more exit speed, but didn't necessarily work out for him here, as he is going to still be about 3/10 behind Maybe a little late on the brakes there. Looks like a bit of a lockup, and now Kryptonic putting a couple hundredths back on him, but nothing massive, as the gap is going to be about a half second before we hit some more DRS. Not very long into the lap without DRS, so that's why it's so important to have DRS, and once you do, it's so hard to shake the drivers who do have DRS, because it feels like you're practically opening it for majority of the lap, and the first driver to blink is Hitch with a 3-second time penalty. We've only got 12 laps to go here. So Hitch in the top 5, the only driver to get a penalty, and now he's going to go for a move on Kryptonic. Kryptonic maybe playing a bit of DRS chicken, maybe open the door for Lucid, but nothing happening. But never mind, yes, something did happen. Oh, and now maybe giving the position back. I'm not sure what is going on, but Cloud now right in the mix. And they go side by side. Maybe there's a little bit of contact between these two, but Hitch has somehow broken the DRS as Cloud and Lucid still side by side, and Kryptonic needs to try desperately to get back into this DRS, or else Hitch might be able to pull a 3-second gap and still take the win. He's the first driver to blink. And Kryptonic into the pits, still going to try and make this undercut work after his plan was foiled by a safety car. But Kryptonic gets a 10-second speeding in the pit lane penalty, and that is going to derail his race. And now you might be seeing Cloud and Lucid and Fawn, the likes of, battling for the win of this race if they can just keep it within the distance they need to get Hitch on penalties. As the penalties start to rack up for the drivers, everyone 3 seconds, Fate with 6, and now Kryptonic, just a killer penalty for him. As we look at the tire lives and everyone on those 14-lap-old hards. And the undercut may work out for Kryptonic, but the 10-second penalty that followed is going to be detrimental to his race. And we'll see if the other drivers do need to box or if they're going to go to the end. Kryptonic may be trying an alternate strategy, just trying something, trying to be a little different and get some more life into the tires, and we'll see if he can work his way back through as Matt gets a 3-second time penalty. Right now, 15.5 seconds, and Vivoda does go into the pits. He's going to take off those 15-lap-old tires, but the battle for the lead, it's anyone's race if they can just keep it within Hitch's distance. Ryan, thank you for your comment. The lobby crash? Sorry, Ryan is currently talking about Tier 3. Not sure what happened, but he seems pretty upset. Oh. It might have just been you, though. He said everyone was just lagging. You never know what it could be. It could be EA's servers. Oh. Not everyone was lagging for you. Everyone else was complaining about lagging. Then I could believe you. No, the giveaway did not happen yet. Kryptonic goes the fastest lap, and he's making up 2 seconds a lap. We've got 9 more laps to go. If he goes at this rate, 2 seconds a lap, let's see his gap to the leader. He would get around the leader's position, but remember, he has a 10-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane there. So, not ideal for him as Squatch gets into the pits and throws on the medium tires. We'll see who can steal the fastest lap point at the end of this race, but still 9 laps to go for these hard runners who are have not pit yet, and it's only going to get worse for them. So we'll see if Kryptonic can somehow make the move on all these drivers and possibly pull 10 seconds. As again, now the drivers, if they're going to pit, Kryptonic is going to get the spot pretty easily around them. So these drivers look to be committing to the one stop. And we will see what comes of that. As Lucid might be battling Cloud here. But Fawn right on the back of him, and Lucid and Fawn not getting the best of exits. So now Cloud can escape down this straight and without a ton of pressure here. Gap now 2.1, still around 2 seconds now, brought it back down. But now missing the apex a little bit, no, still good. Have to just drive every lap of Austria with precision, and it's all high speed, so have to be very precise. And now Cloud snapping the car and losing it through. He bounces off the wall. Thank goodness he's ghosted, but now he's going to fall back around that whole train, and you can probably tell how much these tires are hurting towards the end of this race as he just snapped the car a couple times and he was gone. Now, likely with some wing damage. We'll see if both end plates are on. And no, he is missing an end plate, so the wing is damaged for Cloud as he falls down into fifth, and if he does have to pit, it's going to be a lot worse than that. MJW with another penalty, but spiraling out of control. We didn't even see at the time, but Hitch with another 3-second time penalty, now to 6 seconds. And if Lucid and Fawn can stay without getting penalties, they are well within penalty range of now 6 seconds that Hitch has. The DRS train kind of disappeared here as Kryptonic boxed early, and Cloud now snap of oversteer, and he has wing damage, so now he's going to pit as well as Hitch into the box. So now Kryptonic may be into play, trying to blitz the field now. Trying to salvage this, but what gap is Kryptonic going to have on Hitch? He only needs 4 seconds since Hitch has 6 of his own. And he's got 5.5. The DRS not really a factor here. And Kryptonic's tires are warm. 5 lap olds certainly can make it to the end of this race. And now your 2 leaders, Lucid and Fawn, thrust into an absolute dogfight for the lead. Fate here as well, but Fate with 6 seconds of time penalties in a similar situation that his teammate was, who decided to pit off those hard tires. Thank you, Fives. You're so nice and generous with your comment. I think you meant to say this is the best league ever, and thank all my fellow admins for putting it together. Still have, 50 drivers every week, just maybe not the best showing here in Tier 1. Fate, oh my goodness, he is right on the tail of Fawn. Can you fist fight Bo, who is my 3-month-old son? No. Atomic Bomb versus Coughing Baby. Kryptonic slowly but surely making his way back up through the field. Yes, that is a hard no. Everyone else, no one in the field has DRS. Squatch gonna make a move on MJW. Oh, and maybe a little loose out of that corner. It's higher life for all the drivers. And And now Fawn and Lucid have fanned out a little bit. So has Fate, but I assume they're going to group right back up as Hitch does set the fastest lap. And now he's 4.5 seconds behind Kryptonic. There's a caution in Sector 2. Looks like Vivoda, but no, it's not going to stay. So a lot of drivers shuffling positions towards the end of the race here. And a lot of drivers with penalties that could impact the final finishing order, as Kryptonic is trying to outrun his 10-second penalty. And Hitch covering him off. Struggling on these old hard tires, and these top three still on the old hard tires. They've got 4 more laps to go. Kryptonic bearing down, but not sure if he's going to be able to get by everyone and gap the field by 10 seconds. I think these top 2, if they can just keep it clean, are going to be fighting for the win. But it's about who, and look at Fawn. He is right on the bumper of Lucid. Fate right behind as well. He's been having his popcorn and enjoying the action of the top 2. Maybe waiting for a mistake here. And he could be able to swoop in and take the lead if these two take each other out. So far, Fate not really going for any crazy moves. Not Fate. Fawn not going for any crazy moves. Everyone keeping their distance. We've got 3 more laps to go of the DRS zone at the start-finish line. We'll see if they can get an overtake done, but will Lucid add on to the plenty of wins that he's found in Can-Am? It would be his first win this season, I'm pretty sure. Or will Fawn be able to find his next win, as he only has the 1 win in Tier 1, I'm pretty sure. Kryptonic gets another penalty, so that's going to be it. His effort to try and blitz that penalty is not going to work, and look at him right on the back of this train here. He wants to get in front. Look at him go around Fate on the newer, fresher tires. Fate not wanting to give up the spot, but just going to have to cede. And now Kryptonic around the outside. Fate forced a little bit, or Fawn forced a little bit in the inside. Fate, Fawn. Who am I talking about? Kryptonic down the inside. Is he going to get a 2-for-1 here? Does not brake late enough, but is now going to separate the 2 drivers fighting for the lead, but now has a ton of grip, looking down the inside, does not find anything, and now we'll see if anything can happen between him and Lucid, if he unsettles them, and now we have a pass, and Fawn is off the track! All of a sudden, Fawn drops out of the contention for the lead, under pressure from Kryptonic, and has a moment, and Lucid losing the car a bit too, and Kryptonic is through, but he's got 13 seconds of a gap to make it. Now Lucid, he's around and his wing is off. It's over for those 2 drivers. Now it's going to be between the Alpine teammates, who are well within penalty range of Kryptonic, and they're going to be battling it out for the lead. Who is it going to be? Is it going to be Fate's first win in Can-Am, or is it going to be Hitch? And Hitch looks to have gotten the move done. Maybe not as much of a battle as we thought it was going to be, as it looks like they're just playing the team game and Hitch just goes through. Still have a caution in Sector 1, but after all of that, plenty of action in the final couple laps. Kryptonic leads, but it's well out of penalty range, and now Yuppie is battling here with Cloud, who also still has that 3-second time penalty. Fawn has recovered into P4, so that's good enough for him. Lucid still struggling on these tires. Not sure. I guess it looked like he may have had a puncture just a slide like that, and now the two leaders still fighting, even though Hitch has 7 seconds on him in penalties. He wants the win on track. Dismal with a 3-second time penalty. We've still got a caution. Lucid still moving slow, trying to get his car to the pit lane, but it's not. Looks like the damage has already been done. He's all the way in last place. Kryptonic and Hitch the top two, but separated a lot further in the standings than it will look like on track, as Hitch has the win by 7 seconds here, and they're just going to drive it to the line, it appears. Hitch content to stay behind. No need to go for an ambitious dive bomb, but it's still right behind, and he does. He does go for the dive bomb and forces Kryptonic off the track, but he gets through and takes the win on track as well with penalties. Kryptonic P2 and Fate finishing for an Alpine 1-2 at the moment. Fawn breaks it up, and he goes second by only 6 tenths. Yuppie finishing ahead of Cloud on penalties. Dismal getting over him as well. And Squatch, after quite the race for him, and Lucid has officially DNF'd after the puncture. Up and down race for Squatch, only finishes 1 place behind where he qualified. So he'll probably take that result. Vivoda finishes, gets passed by Matt, who gets into P9. MJW, first driver out of the points in P11. And Seven's coming around the track for P12. And wow, what action in the last couple of laps. If you're going to watch this replay, all you need to do is fast forward to about lap 29, or maybe just watch after the safety car. What a finish here. Got me up, got me excited for the end of the race, and we're going to just have a pit stop. But Hitch is victorious, and a 10-second time penalty to go on top of finishing last. Hitch gets the win here in Austria. Penalty-ridden Grand Prix that sees Hitch come back to take the win after some interesting strategy calls from each driver. Very different strategies. The drivers having to pit due to punctures. And here is your race director. But yeah, you can see all the warnings, and then the penalties start flooding in. But Hitch takes the win and gets the fastest lap. Fawn coming up all the way from 11th and making the one-stop work. Fade as well, up from 6th. Getting the one-stop to work works out for both of them, getting a podium. Kryptonic does slide down to 4th after his 10-second speeding in the pit lane penalty, which, maybe he has a valid reason to protest. We have seen in Tier 3 a 10-second time penalty, speeding in the pit lane specifically, reversed. So you never know, and that's why you never stop battling here, and that would end up giving him the lead from 4th place. Yuppie in 5th, the McLaren pair in 6th and 7th, Squatch in 8th, Matt in 9th, and Vivoda in 10th. Quite the dramatic finish, as some drivers able to make the one-stop work and other drivers getting a puncture at the very last second. Here on your screen next week, we will be going to Mexico City and race in the Mexico Grand Prix. For week 11, counting down the last couple weeks for season 9, we have one more sprint in our calendar and a couple, I think, street tracks to end the season. But stick around and hopefully see the end. We might have some title clinching scenarios and be able to announce some winners as they happen. I'll have to start doing some math on when drivers can clinch, but we will see as it unfolds, as the season progresses week after week. But again, if you're watching the replay, whether you're watching on YouTube, Twitch, whatever, we appreciate you watching. Go check out Tier 2. We lost our Tier 3 commentator, who is now racing in Tier 3, but you can still check out Tier 2, which is Bucko's channel. But that will also be on the Can-Am YouTube at some point. So you can find all of our races there. There's a couple races that are missing when we don't have commentary. So there will be some holes in the Tier 3 season, but we'll hope to secure some of those commentary positions and get all the races broadcast to all of you who enjoy watching. But again, whether it's morning, evening, midday, whenever, thank you for tuning in and thank you for watching this far. And I hope you enjoy the rest of whatever time of day it is. So thank you for tuning in, and hopefully we see you next Wednesday.